late night chat. Wanted to connect on this Memorial Day evening and find out how everyone's day was and check in with you and see what else is going on out here and to share a little bit of insight as to what it felt like to have a normal day, what appeared to be a normal day. So hope everyone is doing well. As always, let me make sure everything is flowing smoothly, and then we will get into some things that's happening out here and check in with everybody. As always, let me know if we have any new viewers to the RTD Live Talk community. Let me know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you and see what else is happening in your world. But just wanted to log in, actually just getting settled in, and had my first day after several months of what felt like a normal day. And I want to find out how everyone else's day went and go from there. So with that being the case, we got Mr. Low Blood Pressure, we got Vince Grant, we got Mikey's Back 70, Spirit King, Excalibur, we got Dondre McLean. I appreciate everybody tuning in. So how is everybody doing? And so no real agenda tonight. Just want to connect with you guys and find out how your Memorial Day went and just share a little insight as to what's going on in the great state of Michigan and go from there. So as we give it a little bit more time for more people to get it tuned in, I wanted to share with you some of my experiences from the day to where it was long overdue. I feel a little bit refreshed that I got a chance to intermingle with lots of family, and there was no social distancing or anything of that nature. Is just all love all the way around. And so I enjoyed myself, man. Had a great day today, getting a chance to hang out with the family and friends and also celebrate, my birthday today. So a lot of good things happening outside of what, the mainstream media would have us to believe is what's actually going on. And, not having had a chance to connect with a good portion of the family, having us all together and really talking things through as all this stuff unfolds. It was great to get a lot of different perspectives, and everyone appears to be on the same page as to realizing how overblown this whole scenario of all these terms that we are being introduced to, how the mainstream media is doing a great job of trying to scare people. But as the weather turns and people realize that it could be it is a real situation, but it doesn't necessarily have to apply to everybody. It was good to get everybody's perspective. Vince Grant, appreciate that, my friend. So I just want to check in, man. And so as of the last couple of days, especially, and I've had a chance to connect with a lot of my counterparts in the alternative media realm. And, I've mentioned this a couple of times last week, especially my concerns and my desire to really shift away from just narrating the shift or the restructuring or the reset of our, monetary system and want to really focus on other things. So really been trying to figure out the direction of the channel and what I would like to be able to position to you guys. Low blood pressure says 44. No, I'm younger than 44, low blood pressure. A lot, not a lot, but a little younger than 44. So, but with that being the case, enough of me ranting, man. I want to connect with you guys and I open the phone lines up, find out how your day went, and also just check in and see what the pulse of the community is like right now, because we've all been following and narrating this whole interesting perspective we're all a part of. And I want to find out how everybody day went and anything worth discussing, any news out there, because I've been trying to dial back from talking about all the obvious things. We know where they would like to head this and, take us towards. So Jay says, credit is tightening, Mike. Did you see Wall Street Journal about it? I did not. So let me type in, and I'm curious to find out. Let me just type in, and I'll like to see what exactly is going on. Credit tightening. Let me see if anything comes up and see what pumps. And also let me know if, okay, here we go. So this is as of today. And as I referenced, I, try my best to not necessarily just stay glued into the obvious news, but I'll pull this up because I think it's worth talking about. But I'm assuming this is the article that Jay was referring to here. It says mortgage credit tightens, creating drag on an economic recovery. And so not surprised at all. And so, as we've been talking about for some time now, given the fact that we know our monetary system is all based upon the furthering of the credit markets and all the opportunities that have been created through zero or NERP or ZERP interest rates, and the unlikeliness of a lot of people actually being willing to take on debt at this current time. And so, really paying attention to the operations of our banking system, it's all geared on them being able to extend credit, further expanding their their dependency on the public to be willing to further sign their names on the dotted line to go into debt. And so I can imagine that we're going to start witnessing this fall. And I think it was a couple interviews I was watching about people talking about how borrowers are not really out there looking to really go further into debt. And so I'm not surprised at all. And it will result in a lack of consumer spending or consumer borrowing, because not many people, majority of people, are more conscientious of their spending at this point because of the uncertainty of their future employment. So, Jay, I appreciate you for bringing that to our attention. And I appreciate the super chat from Mr. Vince Grant. Let me pull this on the screen here. It says, things are changing. Bitcoin looks like it's correcting a bit before a possible bull market, and silver is sideways. What are your thoughts on where we're heading and pricing for both silver and Bitcoin? Vince, great thoughts there. And also thanks for the super chat for highlighting that. So my personal opinion on Bitcoin and anything that's considered an alternative or a future possible medium of exchange, such as a cryptocurrency market, as well as gold and silver. And so at this current moment, it might go sideways. You might have a couple small rallies here and there, because I would imagine the powers that be would like to keep the narrative that everything is fine. There's going to be recovery. Whatever we're experiencing, it's not too big for the government or the central banks to control. And so it's going to be a lot of, manipulation. And one of my concerns on the cryptocurrency sector is that in the community, in the various projects that are going on right now, there's more people concerned with profiting off of the adoption aspect. And so we have the banking sector getting involved. And so initially, years ago, several months ago, it was always about disrupting, distorting, taking the businesses, knocking the banks out of business, disrupting their scheme on a monetary system. But now it looks like there will be no way of really getting those massive gains unless there's fresh currency coming in, which will happen to come through the banking sector or some of the institutions they're setting up. So I think we've gotten away, or a lot of people have gotten away from the idea of the technology being disruptive, as opposed to now being dependent upon adoption through the same financial instruments that they were trying to disrupt, becoming something we all jump into. So if all the major cryptocurrency exchanges are now a part of the same financial institutions, now we saw Coinbase and Gemini getting on board. I think it was with JP Morgan. That right there is not disruptive whatsoever. That's more so the cryptocurrency market being compliant and cooperating with the same entities that have manipulated the entire monetary system up until this point. So I do believe that the cryptocurrency will go up, but now it looks like it's going to definitely go up when they say so. When the banking sector, when the politicians, when the people that's overseeing this current restructuring decides that it's time for it to go up, it will. Because, and this is my personal opinion, all the pricing mechanisms for cryptocurrency, i.e. the exchanges, they're all under heavy manipulation, and the price discovery that comes with just the supply and demand of those currencies are completely manipulated. So we can't really tell what the prices are. So that's the same as the gold and silver market. We can't really determine what the actual nominal price is in Federal Reserve notes. We can kind of get an idea what it's like in other currencies because they're going belly up. But right now, when the standards of measuring value nominally is in dollar terms, we won't be able to tell what it is. So in the short term, it could trade sideways, but at the end, as all this continues to unfold, unravel, it will go up, but by default. So I would imagine it's going to be a patience game as always, Vince. So my personal opinion is that it could trade sideways, or they could choose to let it rip and go up, or they could try to manipulate it down. So my thing is, don't depend upon the number price of any of those assets to really go up or down. Just be present, just be positioned in them if you believe in all of them as a whole. So long-winded answer, but that's just my thoughts. But yeah, so this last 2 or 3 years, there's been more than enough time, and the cryptocurrency exchanges, in order to be a player in this industry, they have to be compliant. Therefore, they have to make sure that the KYC and all that stuff that is mimicking off the old dying financial system to be the same as what they offered us. So I wouldn't hang my hats on waiting on any of those prices to really blow sky high. So long-winded answer, but I hope that kind of puts my shares my perspective with you. Low blood pressure says, Mike, you think you are set up to thrive substantially after the reset? Low blood pressure, great question. And so today, just especially, as I mentioned, having a chance to hang out with family, and we're all gathered and just having a good time. And it was apart from having touched on all these topics and, talking to my brother-in-law, especially, I was just talking about how you can always be prepared, but you can never fully plan for something that you're not in control of. So, thrive, I would like to say that I'll be better than the majority as far as having, put some of my funds into things that I believe will appreciate in value. But thrive would be, I would like to say yes, but yet because we can't really control the outcome of all this, I wouldn't be able to say yes or no, but I would like to say I hope so, that by getting my weight up and having extra of all the things that my family needs on hand now would allow us to sustain ourselves a little longer, to be able to see whatever that new normalcy might be on the end of this. So that's just my 2 cents there. But I don't think you can fully be prepared for something that you're not fully aware of how it can unfold, because remember, we're not in control of this game. We're unwilling participants like that. So just my 2 cents. What else here? As always, so a highlight at Rethinking a Dollar, it'll pop up on my side. I'll be able to see it. And so as always, let me get you guys involved, man, because I'm curious to really find out how's your day. And so, as I mentioned, just getting in, it's my birthday. And so just want to connect because this is the first day in several weeks and months that it's been relatively normal, where everybody's gathering and hugging. And it was great. It's a great feeling. And I'm hoping that we're able to do more of this on my end here. But let me see here. So it says mask, not mandatory here in Corpus Christi. What else we got here? It says no shirts, no shoes, no mask, no service. Okay. It says was at the beach here in Corpus, Padre Island. Place was jam-packed, no mask, no social distancing. Everyone was chill like a normal day at the beach. That's refreshing right there. I'm assuming, Mike, it felt good to be able to hang out and not have everybody on the edge, looking, very cautious and concerned and scared. It says, Terrence says, time to keep your crypto on a cold wallet you own. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. Terrence, I would agree with that, my friend. Says, gold and univols are roads led to Carrot Bars International. Yeah, so Johnny, definitely, I think Carrot Bars as an institution has a lot of promise. And so it's one of those things where, I hope everything works out according to the way the team and Mr. Harold Sykes got it going there. But once again, it all depends upon trust and that company being able to live up to all their promises, of which I wouldn't hang an overwhelming majority of my confidence in any entity right now. Like I really believe that it all falls upon you. Everything rests upon your actions, given the information that you have. So just like when it comes to all the promises from the old financial system, when it comes to the retirement aspect and all those promises given and all the things that require a lot of hands and institutions involved in them, those are too many chains in the midst of you getting what you were promised to receive, to where at any minute, because of the uncertainty and what's going on, it can be a promise broken. So I wouldn't hang my hats on any institution right now. It's one of those things where if you can't hold it in your own possession or get access to it when you need it, for sure, it's gambling or it's very risky. And so King D says, thanks for doing a show on your birthday. I appreciate the content. King D, I appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for the love offering. And so let me actually open up the phone lines and we're going to chit chat a little bit. Didn't plan on logging in long tonight, but I'm curious to hear how's everybody's day doing, and what's the Memorial Day experience been like? Assuming we all initially given this day to remember those that have given their lives for this country, and so I'm assuming some people have had loved ones that they may have lost, or people that are currently serving now. Want to hear from you guys, man. We'll definitely love to give honor to those that are in service, because I'm of the mindset it does take an individual that really is giving and caring to put their life on the line for other people. So definitely want to make sure I acknowledge that whenever that is. And what else we got here says, Spirit says, what was your first birthday word? Silver. First birthday word was not silver. It was thank you, Lord, for another year. Like right now with everything going on, and no tomorrow's not guaranteed. And so every birthday, as soon as my eyes open, I'm very aware of for me personally, of the reason and the how to of why I do what I do. And it's like, Lord, thank you. I appreciate you and your purpose in my life. So that was my first words out my mouth and in my mind today. And then everything else was about just trying to wrap my mind with the idea of entering into a new decade of life on this planet, and just all the things that God has in store for me. So, but that's just me. Natural Mama says, I'm new to the group, but my husband has talked about how great your show is and how level-headed and sensible you are when sharing the news. I'm addicted now. Great job, Mike. I appreciate that. Thanks for joining the community. And also, if we have any other content creators out there, any individuals out there that love sharing their thoughts and analysis on how all this is unwinding, definitely connect with us on the RTD chat over at rethinkingthedollar.com. We'd love to, see some of your work over there. And so 10 Pound Silver says KBC is trash. Univols are okay. And so right now they're all relatively, claims to gold. And so unless you can get your gold, it's all could be potentially trash. So, as long as they're redeeming those units for gold, you're good. So Univols themselves are actually these things right here. These little 0.1 gram units right here. These are what those KBC coins are redeemable in. So I definitely like, getting my weight up in those units as well. So, but just my 2 cents there. So let me make sure, as always, give me a call. I want to hear from you guys. Let me make sure the phone line is working. Let me probably cut that off and open that up. So yeah, let's connect tonight. Let me find out. Won't be on long. Can't wait till hyperinflation. S400. Now think about when hyperinflation hits. If it hits the way that we're familiar with, based upon history in other countries, it will not necessarily be a comfortable environment. And so my personal opinion is that when hyperinflation or extreme inflation hits, it's going to be very uncomfortable, because it's basically saying that it's going to cost you that much more for your everyday necessities, on top of all the other things that you're responsible for in the form of your bills and all that other stuff. So, but let's check in via a phone call and see what's going on. Hello, caller. How you doing, my friend? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, great. Hey, happy birthday. This is Paul from South Philly reaching out to you. Just love the show. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, my friend.
It's amazing that you've survived this long, huh?
Yeah, I appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for the birthday wishes. Thank you. What's on your mind tonight, my friend?
Yeah, see you guys. Just watching the end of fiat, watching it unfold. We talked about the beginning of fiat once a way back, a couple of years, but now it's the end of fiat, so it should be interesting.
Yeah.
Get your weight up. I love telling my friends that, trying to get them to see the obviousness for what it is.
Yeah.
And trying to convince them is just kind of banging my head against the wall with some family members, but other ones, thank God, with your great advice, are seeing the bigger picture,
Yeah, I agree, my friend. And so thanks for calling in and letting us know what's going on in your world, my friend. But other than that, today was a great day for you, relatively speaking.
It was a good day. Yeah. I work at night, but it was a good sleep. The kids were out in the yard playing, so things were good.
That's good, my friend. It's good to hear from you. Thanks for calling in, my friend. Thanks for the well wishes.
Good night, Mike.
All right, be good. Thanks. Yeah, man. I appreciate that call there. Yeah. So here's okay. So of course, whenever you have family gatherings, you tend to gather, around. We have some, big tables. We gather around, and everybody's sharing their thoughts, and everybody's different walks of life, different experiences, and so overall consensus is that we're being lied to, and the overall agenda is to further suppress any form of truth and to basically just continue to enslave humanity. Like, it was interesting to see everybody, for the most part, was in the same, it was an agreement that this is all just one big, how I want to say lie, but just one major, uh, it's one big agenda to take us towards that one world government. And so I actually introduced, I think, to a lot of my family members, the whole Agenda 21. And so actually, for those that have not been caught up on that, David Icke, if you type in Agenda 21 out there, David Icke, some other channel just put out a little short 2 or 3 minute clip that summarizes a lot of the things that were referred to in that. But it's very interesting to see that everything appears to be on course for what the overall agenda is, and how it's good to see more people waking up to what's going on. But the question is, do we still have enough time, and do we have the ability to really disrupt the global agenda? And so that's what I'm curious to find out from your point of view, because I just think that what I've noticed over the last several years of covering all the events as they unfold, it appears to be now like wide out in the open, especially on the political realm. Like, the Democratic side, mind you, I'm not, either side. I just, I'm straight up the middle, and I like to just stick to, preferably less government, but yet you have to, in this kind of sense, choose one or the other. But it looks like the Democratic side is really just becoming very blatant, and it's quite obvious as to how desperate they're becoming to where anything goes with with that line of thought. So yeah, it was just, it was great to be able to, connect with the family today and share all types of thoughts. But anyway, let me stop ranting. As always, give me a call, let's talk, or highlight everything in a dollar. And so let me see, guys, a couple of thoughts here. Terrence Spencer, hi, Mike. Can you look into the amount of reserve banks are required to have? This is a link to the Board of Governors, Federal Reserve. Yeah. So Terrence, so it was, well, what was it? As soon as the week that the Federal Reserve announced that they cut restrictions on the amount of capital required for banks to hold, which happened to be right when they basically cut to zero. And when they cut to zero and started the outright QE, within that time frame, they announced that as of March 25th and March 26th, they were going to require, basically remove any restrictions. So that was a time where the too big to fail banks, I think it was on the 25th of March. And then on the 26th of March, the small banks under 50 billion announced that there was no need to keep capital there was no capital restriction. So that is flat out. And so I'm assuming you're referring to Mike Maloney's video that he might have did yesterday or today about how you look at the graph going up, and then all of a sudden after March 26th, it dropped to zero. So that's kind of where we're at now. And according to Mike's video, and as we all knew, is that, cash is going to become problematic. And so here's the biggest thing to think about between now and the next year. As all this unwinds, QE is infinity. It's an infinite. So it's one of the things where we're going to always be forced to be victims of it, because it's basically, as my last guest mentioned, is just diluting the current monetary supply. The banking sector will continue to expand their balance sheets, and M2, everything is going to go up. So that will become very problematic as people get wind of the fact that their purchasing power is limited. Therefore, they're going to start panicking and wanting to go to the bank to get their currency out. At the same time, where we're going to be at flat out, we're at zero now, but we're going to be, a couple points below zero. And then that's where we're going to hear all types of introductions of capital restrictions and withdrawal limits and stuff like that. At the same time that banks are not required to have any physical cash. So expect the rollout of that digital unit that we've been talking about for some time now. And then also it's going to become very they're going to make those that want to hold cash, they're going to make it look like it's one of those things of it's going to be frowned upon. And eventually it might get to the point where they're going to say something like, because of this national emergency, because of all this, who would really want to hold cash, given the fact that it can carry the whole, virus situation, and it's going to be looked at as being unpatriotic to want physical cash because it thwarts their plans. So between now and that time frame, cash will definitely be of importance because it will be something you can hold on to, but it in of itself has a lifespan on it because retailers will not be accepting it when all that unfolds. So it's one of the things where everything is right in order of the way they want to roll things out. So I'm not surprised at all. But it's one of the things where we all knew where this was going, where there's going to only be so much cash you can actually hold before holding too much is going to be considered unpatriotic. And then they're going to be lumped in with the whole money laundering, terrorists, all that type of stuff, type of narrative. So, yeah. So Mike Maloney, man, a very smart guy, and he's been doing this for quite some time now and definitely keeps us up to date on what's happening. And so, like, one of the guys that really inspired me when I first started really paying attention to how the U.S. is no different than all the other countries that I've lived in is that it's all the same system. And it's just the Federal Reserve System happens to be the head honcho out of them all. But, I remember reading the Mike Maloney book definitely over 10 years ago. And it was a great education for me. And the problem is it should be something that, all economic classes in our high schools and colleges require students to watch, because just from watching those 8-9 video series, you can get more knowledge than you could actually sitting in an entire semester's worth of class these days. And so definitely he does a great job over there. Spirit King says, Mike, everything else says the way you pay doesn't really make it more or less valuable. It's worthless paper. Switch to worthless virtual coins. Very true. But it's one of those things where, as of right now, we've been conditioned to accept paper and to actually look forward to holding paper in our own possession as something that we can hold and have access to whenever we want to. Now, once that's removed, then you're literally trapped into the system. Like cash, even though it's trash, as Ray Dalio mentions, in the long run, it's that last little bit of property that you can say that you have, that you can put it wherever you want to put it. And in a short period of time, you can take it out and go spend it and it'll still be of value. But yet think about this it bothers me just because I'm of the mindset that I think, the idea of privacy and having the opportunity of having private property, even though the Federal Reserve note doesn't belong to us, it's something that I've accepted as a form of payment that I hold on to in the short term for a bootleg store of value, but also being able to give it to somebody else. So that little short of time, that time frame there, that window of time there, when I have a piece of paper, like this piece of paper has been sitting on my desk for a couple of years now, but it's something that belongs to me in the short term. I don't want this thing for that much longer because I'm going to give it to somebody. But yet just having this is something in my possession, which gives me a sense of ownership in the short term. But yet once we're forced into that e-dollar or the digital dollar, whatever it's going to be called, it's going to be on your phone. And it's going to be something that removes all the benefits of having a piece of paper, which is semi-privacy because you don't know how many of these I got on my desk type of thing. And I can do a transaction with somebody without being concerned with any eyes or any concern as to who's in my business. Once that's gone, everything is wide open. And then you have, the cryptocurrency sector, which was supposed to be disruptive, decentralized, but all the major coins are open source, open ledger, open trackable, traceable, whatever. So once again, it's not really any different than having a digital dollar in a sense. That's why I think, I'm a big proponent, a big fan of privacy coins with all the different protocols on top of that. But, it's just the idea of having something that you can physically hold and claim it as yours in the short term. I still value that myself. But anyway, I'm ranting too much. It says, question, Philman says, will the stimulus 2 be released next month? Philman, great question. My personal opinion is that the second round will definitely be given by probably July. just because I think all June might be the back and forth between the House and the Senate as to how much is feasible. But Trump, in order to really further his push for a second term, he has to be able to, he will be forced to give out another round of something. Now it's just a matter as to whether or not it'll be overly accommodative as far as the way that the Democrats will love to. They'll love to give you the unemployed 600 continuously and an allowance on top of that. Whereas in like Mitch McConnell has mentioned that there'll be no more extensions of that, extra 600 unemployment. And they want to crack down on what they give to make sure it's just enough to, it's not really enough to pay a bill, but just enough to keep you in the mix. But I imagine by July, there'll be an official announcement unless something gives between now and then. So that's the next 60 days, give or take. And I'd imagine after May, come June, we're going to get the numbers from May about how abysmal the housing market was. The defaults will double. Unemployment will still be there. Certain states will probably not fully be reopened. Like here in Michigan, Whitmer extended it. It was the 28th, which was supposed to be 2-3 days from now. I was actually looking forward to being able to go to a restaurant, but yet now she broke it up into regions and extended it to June 12th. And I wouldn't be surprised if she extended beyond that. So that's just my personal opinion. Philman says, question, my friend is trying to get into the ATM business. What are your thoughts? Philman, the ATM business, it's I would imagine there's still going to be a need for cash, and the business opportunity to do such, I believe it still will be there, and it's something still viable. And so if your friend is able to pull all that off and at minimum cost, sure, why not? Because cash is still of value until that piece of legislation is passed that makes it something that people may not want to do business with. It still will be profitable and worth your while. Wealthy man, I appreciate that love offering to the channel, my friend. It says, happy birthday, Mike. A small token for all that you do. You are loyal to your YouTube community. You are a blessing. I appreciate that offer, my friend. Thank you for that support as well. Thank you. So, question, how was everyone's Memorial Day? Was it normal? Was it awkward? Was it odd? Were there family gatherings? Let me know in the chat. I'm curious to find out. It says, hi there from London, UK. What's life in London like? Let me know. Volcan says, Mike, beware of the second wave. That may be when they release the real killer. Okay, so the second wave, definitely something that I'm anticipating. And so like today with, family gathering, we were talking about this, and I was saying, be concerned with the second wave because I think the numbers that they were hoping for, they're not as bad as they would like. Second wave, let me see, we'll look this up. So I'd imagine the numbers right now are not as bad as the health organization, all those entities would like for it to be right now. So whether it's a natural flare up of whatever, or a manipulation of numbers, or the release of the next, couple tubes or something like that throughout the country to really create a panic. I would also not be surprised if, I always mention that my initial thoughts that this current COVID virus, the whole situation was a biological whatever. And so I called it a human malware. It's basically, something created to actually disrupt and destroy the human body intentionally. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's another version out there that they say it mutated, but actually it's a whole different strand and everything like that they put out there for the sake of creating another wave. And so let me actually pull this on the screen here. And so when you see stuff like this, you got to realize that the whole goal is to continue to promote concern, fear, and then also to keep us divided. And so here's an article just typed in. I typed in second wave, and this popped up. It says more than 100 million people in China face new lockdown as second wave cases emerge. So the question is this a deliberate act, or is this misinformation from the news, or is this just the government overstepping their bounds in China even more so than they already do, just to lock down 100 million, because the U.S. is always, reactive to everything that happens around us. So if this is the case, if this scenario here is real of what's happening over there right now, it'd be very unlikely that here in the U.S. we were not to experience something of the same magnitude. Of course, not necessarily 100 million, but it'll be a state by state situation. So I would not be surprised if there was a second or third, but also a more disastrous strand. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hello? Going once, going twice. Anybody there? All right. Give me a call back. I'll get you on here. And make sure, see if I can get some. Okay, yeah. So we should be good. So, yeah, give me a call. Let me know what's in your mind. Let me know how your day went, all that good stuff there, and any other news worthy of talking about. And also, so since we're on here now, it looks like there's a good amount of individuals tuning in. And so as I started off for today, for those that are tuning in, so we're at the point now where we're in the midst of the monetary restructuring. And so like today, especially gathering with my family, because I've been talking about this stuff for so long, everyone now fully agrees with my personal stance as to how this is all one cover up to hide what's really going on, which is the shifting of our monetary system globally. So everybody, for the most part, was all ears as to, Mike, what do you think? What do you think? And I'm like, just planning out scenarios. And so we all know what's going on now. Now, here's the question, like in the midst of this, where do we go from here? Like the question earlier was, how do you think you're prepared enough to thrive? We don't know how to really gauge that because we don't know what's on the other side of all this. And so that's what I'm trying to figure out now. Where does the Rethinking the Dollar channel go next? Because we all know what we're facing, but yet how can this channel and this community reach more people to help them get plugged into this type of information with all the people I interview and things of that nature, getting people to share their experiences? Because out of, it looks like close to 200 people watching right now, there's a lot of smart individuals out there that have interesting perspectives that if you put all that together, we can really make a difference, I think, in the community as well as other people's lives. So I'm curious to find out, what do you guys think? What's the next level? Because I've pretty much talked to every certified financial economist, author, for last was 6 years now? 6 years now of talking to experts. I've covered it all. And everyone, for the most part, says the same thing. They tell you how it's unfolding, but yet they don't really tell the story as to what we all should do outside of course, get your weight up, get gold, get real estate, whatever. So I'm open to ideas. And so that's why I think I want to put that out there to you guys to see where would you like to see this channel go direction-wise. Let me know. Styles Washington, appreciate the love offering. It says, Mike, do you think this is the last decade of capitalism as we know it? I think capitalism as we've known it to this point of capitalism as it was decades or maybe, as it was always known, is already gone. We have remnants of it, but yet it's not really what capitalism used to be years and years and years and decades ago, because capitalism starts with capital. So capital in the sense of people actually saving to create capital, a pool of funds that you can then disperse into certain aspects that come with risk, that where you can lose it all or you can hit it big or go in between. So there is no more capital because now everything is credit based. So capitalism, as far as people actually being able to take funds and put it certain places and the risk falls solely on them, is gone, because what we've written is now is that most people don't have savings to put anywhere. And if there is some capital, the capital usually is at the expense of the people who lent it to the banks, lent it to all these hedge funds and financial people, and they then in return gamble it on your behalf. If it goes belly up, you take the most of the loss while they get bailed out and they get made whole. So capitalism as we've known it is already gone or dead. What we're in now, I'm not even sure what it is. Of course, people say fascism or whatever, where it's government centered, government down. That's definitely the case. But yet, I think this current election here, or this last election, pretty much showed me what we're dealing with. Like, both parties are of the same school of thought, and so now it's a matter of how fast do we actually have outright socialism or remnants of all those other isms? So it's like the other isms or socialism solely. And that's where I think we're at now. So capitalism, as we've already, as it's been introduced years ago, is already gone. Now we're at a point where there's a merger of isms tied in. And if there's an election this upcoming November, it will. I don't want to say this is going to be this upcoming election. If it plays out, will be. I don't know. I don't know what America's going to look like after this next election. That's what I'm very concerned about that. So, long story short, capitalism is dead. We're emerged in a bunch of isms now, on the cusp of going solely to socialism. Because even what Trump is doing or allowing, they're destroying capital and wealth in general. So that's a part of the whole restructuring that's taking place. So that's my 2 cents there, man. Hopefully that'll help. And that's why I think it's important for people to understand the importance of being able to take a little bit of your financial energy, your economic energy, your lifeline, and put it back into your own possession by minimizing your risk, minimizing your exposure to things that you have no say-so over. Everything now to me is rigged. Everything is rigged. Only thing you can control is actually, for the most part, the weight you can put in your possession, like, weight, as well as, holding your private keys for your crypto. Okay, I got some people out there that might be saying that as well, but you get what I'm saying. It falls upon you. If you don't know enough on how to protect and to fully oversee your financial well-being, then you stand to lose it all, and that's just how it should be, unfortunately. All right, so I'm missing some questions out here. It says, we've only had crony capitalism. It says pandemic, economic governments, what could go wrong? Pandemic. Okay, let me see. It says Mac says, Mac, they're gonna do us like Jacob did Esau when we are worn out and broke and hungry. That will offer us a bowl of stew in front of the crypto mark of the beast vaccine registration system. Yeah, that's a good way of linking all that together. But as I've always mentioned, I've been skeptical of the push for adoption to cryptocurrency, because that's a part of the plan anyway. So I've never been a big fan of preaching it, because I am not that hung high on the idea that cryptocurrency will be a financial lifeboat for a lot of people. It's a way to speculate. It literally is gambling, but yet it's something that will do well, because we're heading into a system that they want us to go in. But yet the cryptocurrency sector we have now will not be. I don't think it's going to be the same market there are now in 5 years from now, because there will not be as much competition in the digital currency sector outside of national currencies or whatever that next, one world type of currency might end up being, in my personal opinion. John the 10th Man says, Mike, I agree with you. I think one needs to start a home biz, so don't need to live off of the government and not start now. John the 10th Man, very true. So, having your own, or as best as you can, having your own mechanism to deliver value into the world is something that we were deliberately not taught in school. And so, like, right now, we're witnessing how there's a lot of master degrees, PhDs sitting at home right now, unemployed, because the whole idea of getting into the rat race was about security. And so everybody should be able to make a single dollar with all the technology and everything we have now. Everyone should be in a position where they can deliver some type of value into the market, to where eventually, it'll be hard to do it without fully having a as you mentioned here, LLC and having a large network. It'll be hard to do, but it's something that everybody will be forced to do, because I think that's going to be one of the ways that people maintain themselves is by delivering some type of service or value. And that's going to be a good thing, because it'll teach us how to go out there and fish for ourselves, as opposed to having the government supply our fish for us. So I do agree with that. Exactly. And that's another thing, pretty soon we're going to have to deal with the concept of, by end of this year or fall of next year, the whole COVAX, getting those, you know what I'm talking about. I really can't say that because YouTube, once again, they're not too friendly with that. But yet we're all going to be confronted with the reality of having to make some decisions. And initially, President Trump said last week, you're not going to be required to take one. Not everyone's going to take one. But then you ask all the questions of, like, when it comes to logistics, dispersing it, like, why are we, sending it around? Like, why do we have a military dispersing it unless there's going to be some force behind that sometime? So things I always question, definitely. But let me see. Aaron B. Appreciate that love offering, my friend. It says, happy birthday, Mike. I appreciate your show and love for the Lord. Everyone, let's love bomb Mike with an offering for this birthday. Hey, Aaron, man, I appreciate that love offering to the channel, my friend. Thanks for being a blessing. What else here? So I'm going to dial back. And so the phone lines, let me see here. I had some internet issues earlier. Yeah, so may not be going through. But anyway, so I want to just connect and wish everyone a happy end of the Memorial Day holiday. I actually learned something new that I did not know before. Actually, I missed all types of calls. So I apologize for missing those calls. But yeah, try to give me a call back. Try to give me a call back and I get you on here. I apologize. But yeah, let me pull this up here. Because prior to today, actually talking to my father-in-law, he was like, Mike, did you know that, Memorial Day is not the original name for this particular day? And I'm like, no, I never really paid attention to it. But here, for those that may not have known, here is this is what I found out today. Let me pull this up on the screen. And so Memorial Day, it says previously, but now seldom called Decoration Day, is a federal holiday, of course, honoring mourning of the military. So yeah, I didn't know that prior to, I guess, he said 1967, it was considered Decoration Day. So I was not aware of that. So I learned something today from a father-in-law. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Alan, calling from North Carolina.
Al from North Carolina. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind tonight?
Yeah, I was just wondering. I heard something last week about President Trump. He went on record. He was being interviewed by some reporters, and he was admitting that he's supposedly taken some of this medication for malaria.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, do you think that was a straight up lie to kind of get people to say, oh yeah, well, if the president take it and said he's safe, then it's all right for everybody else. That's all I wanted.
Yeah, a great thought there. So I got mixed thoughts with that, man, because one of my concerns initially was, as all this stuff was happening around us, there was no social distancing at the White House during any of those press briefings. And you saw reporters in the stands with masks on, but everybody, it was a stage full of people standing close to each other. And they did that for several weeks, if not 2 months ago or so. And I'd imagine they started to kind of get an idea that the world is wondering, how come we're not social distancing? How come we're not wearing masks? And then the mainstream media, the left more so, is like, how come Trump isn't wearing a mask? And they're going around touring warehouses not wearing masks. And then all of a sudden the next week, the CDC, HD, all those directors and executives started having symptoms, and they all isolating themselves. And then the President Trump thing came out about him taking hydrochloroquine. And so I'd imagine it's two things. Either they have been impacted by it, which I don't think they have been, because I also heard a press briefing saying that they've all been vaccinated, whatever that means. So they may have already had something to prevent them from having it, or to play along and to show the American public that they're not immune from it. They all decided, hey, let's, you take a couple of days off, wear some masks, say you got some symptoms. And so they'll at least know that, we're not immune to it, and we can play along with this as well. So my personal opinion is one of those three. It's hard to figure it out, but why is he taking it unless there are symptoms? I don't know. Or is he lying? Your guess will be good as mine. It'd be sad if he's lying, but then why would you take it unless you had a reason to take it? So I'm not sure. What do you think, my friend?
Oh, well, I'm right along with you. Why would you take it if you don't need to take it?
Exactly. So we'll see. But before all this really jumped off, my concern was, what if he ended up having it and unfortunately fell victim to it? And then what if that was the case? And then at that point, all hell would break loose. I would be completely changing my story on all this, because if the president was to, fall victim to it, then everybody would be surprised, and our country would be definitely, it'll be some civil unrest for real, because people are gonna say he was intentionally put to rest. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to read into these things, man. But it gives us so much to try to figure out as best as we can. But it's all speculation, man.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate the call, my friend.
All right.
All right. Be good. Yeah. So it's one of those things where, we can guess, we can assume, we don't know. But here's one of the biggest things that bothers me. No doubt President Trump knows that his supporting staff, all those that are a part of that task force, they're all bought and paid for by other people's agendas, and they all work for the pharmaceutical industry. So he knows all that. He knows that Fauci is not necessarily the best person for the job, because he's on the board of all the Gates foundations and stuff like that. But he's not doing anything about that. So that's one of the things I wonder is, but yet I never put my sole confidence in anybody, one person anyway. So JBW says, happy born day, Mike. Did you get in touch with Catherine Austin? I did not. I need to hit her up. Thanks for reminding me. I got to write that down. Deborah Tavares might be someone else to look into for an interview from stopthecrime.net. Okay. So while I got that on the screen, I'm going to write it down now so I don't forget. And so as always, I appreciate the heads up. And I'll put that down here, and I will make note of that. And so this upcoming week, I got some good interviews as always, so stay tuned for those. And I will definitely check into that, JB. Appreciate you, my friend. But also, so I'm about to get ready to dial back. Just want to check in, find out how everyone was doing. Appreciate the birthday love or whatnot. But yet, moving forward, really looking to shift gears with the channel. Want to definitely give more people a chance to share their 2 cents. And I think we have a little bit of time to try to bring in and to inform as many people as we can about the importance of just taking the first practical step of getting your weight up, and then everything on top of that. And so let me take this last call if I can. If the phone, I lost the call. So I apologize for that. But with that being the case, I'm looking for ideas, suggestions. What would you guys like to see from the RTD community? And so definitely the talk show aspect gives me a chance to connect and just get the pulse of what's happening out there, and getting a chance. One of the most important things with these live streams is getting a chance to have people interact and share their experiences based upon where they're at geographically, because we have people from all around the country, other parts of the world, and it's good to really get a chance to hear everybody share their experiences and their thoughts, and all those people out there that are sophisticated in nature share their technical side of things, and those that are here to learn. And so we're all a part of this experience together. So definitely I enjoy being able to connect and learn a lot from everybody. So but let me see here. It says President Trump, he's trying to prove to the American people it will not kill you like the news media is telling everyone. That could be the case. I wouldn't put it past that as well. But apart from the fact that until it's easily accessible to everyone, we'll see, because I've heard more good than bad about people being able to take it. But I also, talking to my healthcare provider the other day, they were saying that they've been told that they cannot provide it as a option for people. It has to come directly from the hospitals. Therefore, it's not something you can go get over the counter anymore. So, hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Happy birthday, Mike. It's low blood pressure, Corpus Christi.
Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for that. How you doing?
Good, Mike. I know earlier you were talking about the second wave. I'm still waiting for the first wave, Mike. When's it going to come?
Well, the first wave initially was, I think it was the introduction of some type of virus or illness or whatever that came into this country. And so from all the numbers we've been given, that was the introduction. And of course, unfortunately, there's been people who's fallen victim to it, but yet not everyone has falling victim to it, but it was introduced to us. Now it's a matter of what that second wave might be, if it is the case.
I don't know, Mike. I go to the stores all the time, and in my work, I have to visit people, and I go door to door and things like that, and businesses. Anyways, the number of people wearing masks has gone down substantially, and people are starting to catch on. You start talking to people, and then you tell them, you try to sneak it in there. Hey, I think this is kind of over-exaggerated, and then they're scared to say it, and then after they get confident, oh yeah, me too, I think that too. Nobody's getting sick.
Yeah. I agree. So just like me, my wife is the same way. My wife she goes ballistic. She hates the whole concept of social distancing, wearing masks. So I got to calm her down sometime, but I'm of the same mindset outside of being conscientious of other people. Cause if you're older, I would definitely not want to make you feel uncomfortable. So I would wear one and don't have a problem wearing one just because, what having it or having it not doesn't really, it doesn't bother me none, but if I'm out and about, like today was a great day. We all got together, hung out. Nobody had masks. We hugging, kissing, and just loving on each other, which is what we all needed because it felt very good to be able to hug your loved ones and nobody, be all distant. Like, no, even though I had some people, but, the majority it was all good.
That's good, Mike. I had just one more question. What you guys eat?
A little bit of everything. We had, typical spiel hamburger, sausage, all, everything in between, and a lot of cervezas and you name it. So.
Oh, you have to say that, but that's good. That's good. All right, Mike. All
right, my man. I appreciate you as always, man. Good to hear your voice.
All right, you too. You too. Have a good night,
you
Mike.
too.
Thanks. Bye.
Oh man, good stuff. So, with that being the case, people, in the chat, let me know. Or leave a comment, how else can we elevate this message here to get more people involved and to help them to be able to unplug from the system as best as we can in preparation for what we're currently facing, because overwhelming majority, I'll probably say 98% of the rest of the population has no clue as to what's going on. And so I think once as an individual of how fraudulent and how manipulative our system has been to everyone, you have a responsibility to share information with your fellow family members and friends or whatnot, because I would imagine, as just being a compassionate person, you don't want to see other people go under and you not be able to share some information, whether or not they're responsive to it or not. It doesn't matter. I think we all have a part to share with this. So, but with that being the case, that's all she wrote for tonight. I appreciate everybody hanging out with me. If you've enjoyed the back and forth, give it a thumbs up. If you found anything of value in this, share it with your family and friends. And looking forward to connecting with you guys tomorrow and going from there. But other than that, enjoy the rest of your day or evening, wherever you're watching from. Be blessed, be safe. Peace.